My guest mentioned $25 trillion worldwide. The reason I repeat that is to ask this. If I know, for instance, that I am in fact going to let's just say allocate or get away with $3 million, and your penalty is $300,000, then I'm going to weigh the penalty and how much I'm getting away with and decide, hey, it's worth the risk. So the question then is, do you think the penalties that exist in Trinidad and Tobago is sufficient to deter this sort of actions?
I'm not familiar with the penalties, so I can't really speak to that. But generally, on the whole, not only our penalties, but the way our system also operates, because how long would it take? And I guess you're coming off from a criminal justice point of view. How long would it take for people now to be able to be brought to justice?
That is the statute of limitation question. Is there one?
I'm not sure.
You're not too sure.
I really can't speak to that one. I'm not familiar with that, but I think, I think that's what the normal manager is going to say this, that those who have the means to be able to do these things, whether in Trinidad or in any other country, they also have the means and the finances to be able to avoid going to jail, because they have the means to pay the proper legal individuals to be able to delay it so much that it frustrates the system, that they stay out of it.
And these players are familiar with that. These players are familiar with that.
You don't get into this as an individual, as a corporation, unless you know what are some of the problems you're going to face, and then you have a backup plan in place.
Trinidad and Tobago is going to be at the forefront of this once the names start being, because I don't know, I don't mean to be an alarmist in any way or to make a definitive statement, but I get the feeling this is not the only name we're going to find coming out of this, and or the domino effect that happens with things like this. So you always get a lot more people involved in it. Disclosure today would like to see a couple of things prioritized. You say you were happy with the procurement end of it, but as you said, that's only one component. Give me the top 5 things coming out from your organization, Disclosure, today they would like to see happen, so that companies who and individuals who get involved in this offshore banking find a higher hurdle to surmount.
I think we'll want definitely to ensure proper implementation of the procurement legislation, to ensure proper legislative framework is in place to enforce the way government ministries and agencies procure goods and services, to ensure it's done in a transparent and operational manner. I think we'll also want to see proper implementation and operation of the Financial Intelligence Unit in the way they monitor our financial services sector. And together with that, we've always advocated for during last year's election, and we continue to advocate going forward, the need for proper campaign finance reform. I think that also plays a very important role with regards to all of this. I mean, organizations or individuals who finance political parties probably do so, we all would agree, do so for a particular reason. It's an investment, and they look for return on investment.
You pay to play. And
part of these things would also impact on the way you would award contracts and stuff like that. So we also need to have proper political party campaign finance reform in this country to ensure that there is a transparent and a level playing field for everyone who wants to engage in the political process. I think those are some of the main things that Disclosure today we really would like to see coming forward over the next year.
Those of us who've been around for a while are both cautious and wary of how of what is said and how it looks as to how it turns out. But from what you're hearing, are you seeing a sort of resolve with this administration to at least go deeper into making real the pure procurement legislation? And mind you, I said making real because you can make something legal. It does not mean it's real. It's real when you actually start implementing it. So do you see a resolve, because thus far articulated, that leaves you encouraged that in fact we are looking in these areas?
Well, let's add quickly to my list that I just mentioned. They just came to the top of my head. Proper whistleblowing legislation, I think, is also key and important. So with regards to summation of all I've just said, I think the government so far has set the correct tone in terms of what they want to do. But then governments always say that in the first 6 months or the first year of their existence. So they've set the correct tone, I think. There's a joint select committee right now that's looking at the procurement legislation with regards to amendments that the government has proposed to be made. So I know that is currently going on. There's also a joint select committee that's looking at whistleblowing legislation. There's a bill that they put off public comment and disclosure today. Was one of those organizations that sent a very detailed and long document outlining our position on the proposed bill and what we would like to see done to ensure the bill is properly drafted and properly implemented. We know the government has also made a commitment to ensuring in the near future proper campaign finance reform. So we also, again, they've spoken the right language, but we need now to see, moving forward, language to passage of legislation, and then once legislation has been passed, proper implementation. Because in this country, we have a lot of legislation, but the problem is always, do you properly implement the legislation? Do we see things being done? Does the man on the street believe that you've passed whistleblowing legislation, you've passed procurement legislation, you've probably implemented campaign finance reform? What happens then? Are you going to implement it? And that's always been the drawback, and it's something that people, I think, want to see. I think people want to see action, and they don't want to hear words anymore.
My guest made it very clear, and thank you for the clarity, Rishi Maharaj, is that it was not a case of hacking in the case of Panama. It was a case of whistleblowing. You mentioned whistleblowing as an addition to the hopes of your organization. Are you happy with the whistleblowing legislation as proposed?
Well, we looked at it at a bill that was proposed by the administration, and on its foundation, it's a pretty good legislation. But obviously, when compared, and we did an in-depth comparison with regards to the whistleblowing bill that was proposed by the government with other legislation throughout the world. We looked at Jamaica, we looked at Canada, we looked at South Africa, we looked at the UK. I think we even looked at Australia. So we did a comparison between our proposed bill and what exists in the world. And there were gaps with regards to legislation, into the way the legislation was drafted. We had some concerns, for example, with the way somebody would whistleblow. I think the bill allows for you to go to each organization will set up a whistleblowing authority or whistleblowing unit, and then you go to that particular unit, and then if the unit investigates and feel that it warrants further investigation, they will then send it to a particular designated authority, and there's several authorities listed out in the bill. But we felt that there were these allowed for not allowing people to trust the process. I think that's the whole point of whistleblowing, is you to be able to feel confident as a whistleblower that the process is going to, protect you in terms of what adverse effects you may face, but also allow for proper investigation, due diligence to be done to ensure, if your allegations are correct, that investigations and people are really investigated properly. So we felt that the bill as proposed had gaps. And although it's in foundation, it's good, there are certain gaps that needs to be plugged in order for it to be, in our opinion, to stand out and to be on par with other legislations in the world.
There is something here, because Trinidad and Tobago is a small unitary state. You can't really do witness protection programs. You can't hide people that you can do. You can put them in other jurisdiction and get cooperation from various governments to move them if you had to, but really that is not too practical. It does raise the question, however, in dealing with whistleblowing, is it something that is looked at, and is it something that you think would be meaningful in assisting or encouraging more whistleblowers if a lot of people who are blowing the whistle were in fact allowed to give evidence anonymously?
I think so. I think it would definitely. It's something that I guess needs to be looked at. It's also from a.
You can be talking to the judge in court, but you're in a camera and your identity is shielded.
Exactly.
Yes.
There are different ways that other countries have approached the whole idea of whistleblowing and protecting the whistleblower.
Yes. Because
obviously somebody's doing this, they're obviously risking not only their job and their financial benefit. In some cases, they're also risking their lives.
Lives and the family lives.
Exactly, and the family lives. So there needs to be some sort of protection put in place with regards to how you protect and allow these individuals to give evidence in court to allow for them to be able to feel free of fear. So I think that's something that we need to look at properly with regards to the way we implement our proposed legislation, together with the judiciary. The judiciary is going to play a part in this, together with the police service. So I think it needs to be a whole multi-stakeholder look into how, going forward, you want to implement this whistleblower legislation, because we believe that a lot of people out there who want to blow the whistle, a lot of people out there who believe and want to really expose what's going on, but there's a fear. And there's a fear of recrimination, a fear of discrimination, a fear of life. So,
And that is
and
understandable.
you have to put proper protocols and systems in place to alleviate that fear as much as possible.
How do folks join Disclosure Today, and how do they contribute? How do they also access the information that is there? And a couple of whistleblowers who may want to speak to you, how do they go about doing that?
You can go to our website at www.disclosure.today, and you can sign up. You can also check out our Facebook page, and you can sign up. You can also email us. You can email us at info@disclosure.today. Or you can you can email me, at rishi@disclosure.today.
RISHI
RISHI at disclosure, DISCLOSURE .today, TODAY. So you can feel free to email me or email our info@disclosure.today. We are always willing to talk to individuals who may want to make freedom of information requests. Once we make freedom of information requests and we get the information, we also make the information public.
Because
So
a
it's
very
posted in the
powerful
public
citizenry is going to be one with the information. And your site, whereas you have access to FOI information, freedom of information, you will make that available to members or to anyone who access your site.
Once we make a freedom of information request,
I see.
and once we've gotten the information from the public authority, our aim is to only make the information public. Okay. It should be public information in the end. That's what freedom of information proposes. So it's really one avenue that we're using to educate, to facilitate individuals who may want to make freedom of information requests, want to facilitate also whistleblowers, because what we also do, you can make the freedom of information request in your name if you want to. But if you feel a certain fear and you want certain anonymity or you want certain confidentiality,
you are the shield.
Then you can speak to us. We have a legal team that works with us, and then based on discussions, we can make the request in your name, and we protect your confidentiality to the core. I mean, our site is encrypted with 180 encryption, so we have proper safeguards in place to ensure that you are protected with regards to what information we get for you and on your behalf.
My guest this morning, Rishi Maharaj, who is the CEO of Disclosure Today. Rishi, as always, thank you so much for the time.
Problem.
Thank you for the clarity.
Sure.
And I trust that you have yourself another day. As I said to you before, do not put my name on the do not accept list, because I'll be coming at you from different times for us to talk
Not a
these issues.
problem.
Thank you so much. Have yourself a wonderful day.
Sure, same to you.
Thank you so much.